Welcome, curious minds. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into, well, frankly, a truly challenging and unsettling case. It's one that really compels us to look beyond widely held perceptions and confront some difficult truths.
Hmm.
Our sources for this dive detail a complex and deeply disturbing situation. It's happening in a place revered by millions for its spiritual significance.
Yeah, and that contrast is immediate, isn't it?
It really is. And this situation has ignited serious questions about accountability, human dignity, and, the very nature of trust in
Yes.
powerful institutions.
What is profoundly striking here, I think, is exactly that stark contrast.
Yeah.
You have this narrative of benevolence, of spiritual sanctity surrounding the place,
Right.
and then, bam, these deeply disturbing allegations emerge. It just immediately draws your attention to those who are often most vulnerable in society.
Exactly. People who often lack a voice, protection, the means to advocate for themselves.
Pres-
So, our mission today is to meticulously unpack these sources, uh, extract the most critical nuggets of knowledge, and try to really understand the core insights behind what are being called the Dharmasthala mass burials.
Hmm.
We'll be exploring the allegations of systemic exploitation, the slow and, frankly, arduous fight for justice for the unseen, the unheard.
Yeah, it's been a long struggle for the activists involved.
Absolutely. And the profound implications this case carries for how we view institutions of power and care. This is a story that requires us and you listening to lean in, to question, and to truly understand the persistent efforts to bring light into some very dark corners. Okay, let's begin our exploration here. Okay, so to really grasp the gravity of this deep dive, we need to first understand the setting itself, Dharmasthala.
Right. The context is crucial.
For millions across India, and honestly for generations, it's been revered as this beacon of faith. It's a serene temple town nestled in the picturesque Dakshina Kannada district of Karnataka.
And when you say Dharmasthala in India, people immediately think of devotion, pilgrimage.
Exactly. Profound devotion, spiritual pilgrimage, large-scale, unwavering philanthropy. That's the image. It's a place where thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of devotees arrive daily.
Daily, yeah. Seeking blessings, solace, participating in what seems like this vibrant, benevolent, spiritual community.
At its very heart is the Sri Manjunatha Swami Temple, dedicated to Lord Shiva. This temple alone draws millions of pilgrims annually. It's huge.
One of the most significant religious sites in the region, definitely.
But what's absolutely crucial to understand, and our sources really emphasize this, is that Dharmasthala isn't just a temple. It's like an entire sprawling socio-religious ecosystem.
Much more than just the building.
Right. And this vast system encompassing not just the temple, but its extensive operations has been under the unwavering control of a single family, the Jain Hegade family.
And for how long?
Get this, over 800 years.
800, that's almost incomprehensible. That kind of long-standing, almost unquestioned authority.
It's staggering. Their influence isn't just deep, it's woven into the very fabric of the region.
And that's critical, that sense of history, of deep-rooted trust, because, as the sources reveal, that very environment, that lack of sufficient external oversight, can inadvertently become fertile ground for the kind of opacity we're talking about.
So their influence goes way beyond just religious rituals.
Oh, absolutely. Our sources highlight their administration of this truly vast network of institutions. It shows how deeply engaged they are in civic life.
Like what specifically?
Well, they run extensive educational institutions, schools, colleges, providing opportunities for thousands. They operate numerous orphanages, providing shelter and care. Their hospitals offer medical services. And they oversee these massive social welfare programs.
So really seen as uplifting the community.
Definitely. This comprehensive engagement has fostered this incredibly powerful public image of, unparalleled philanthropy, selfless service, dedication to welfare.
So for the average person, the Hegades are charity, spiritual guidance.
Exactly. A kind of benevolent, almost paternalistic governance. And the chilling insight here, the paradox, is that institutions, when they're cloaked in centuries of reverence and tradition, well, they can operate with a level of opacity that almost exempts them from scrutiny.
Even when their outward image is pure benevolence.
Precisely. It raises this profound challenge. How do you ensure accountability when an entity is seen as being almost beyond reproach, shielded by tradition and public adoration?
Okay, so beneath this carefully constructed facade, this image of serenity and benevolence, things started to crack around 2013.
It wasn't sudden, though, was it?
No, not like an explosion, more like these quiet, persistent whispers started circulating, but they carried this horrifying weight, hinting at something deeply disturbing just under the surface.
And these weren't just vague rumors.
No, that's the key. They were specific, anonymous tips about really suspicious burial practices happening right there, on land managed by the temple.
On temple land itself.
Exactly. And these tips didn't just vanish, they landed squarely with one person, Ravindranath Shanphag.
Ah, yes, the activist.
Right. Our sources describe him as a local activist, also a former journalist. So, he has that investigative background, that tenacity.
A crucial combination for something like this.
Absolutely. And the allegations he received were just shocking, not just in nature, but the sheer scale. Hundreds, potentially even thousands of bodies purportedly being buried without any proper official records.
No death certificate.
No death certificates, no legally mandated paperwork, and critically, without the consent or even the basic knowledge of any family members or next of kin.
So, not just a few mishandled cases.
Yeah.
This sounds like something systematic.
That's the allegation. A systematic, almost industrial-scale disposal of human remains.
And Shanphag and his team, they really dug into this, didn't they? Moving from rumor to actual observation.
They did, and the rigor they applied is remarkable. Our sources specified these weren't ordinary graveyards being discussed. These were alleged mass burial grounds.
Hidden away.
Deliberately hidden from public view, yeah. Tucked away within the temple's sprawling properties.
And the alleged source of the bodies. That's particularly distressing.
It really is. Individuals from temple-run orphanages, homes for the destitute, even hospitals under the temple's umbrella, places that were supposed to be havens of care.
Supposed to be.
And the most chilling initial finding, the critical piece, was the allegation that many of these deaths were just never reported to authorities.
Just bypass the entire legal system?
Completely, which meant no police inquests, which are vital in India, right? Especially for vulnerable people or unknown causes of death.
Absolutely vital for determining cause of death, ensuring no foul play.
No autopsies, no investigation at all into how these individuals died.
This systemic lack of reporting essentially rendered these deaths invisible to the state. It's like an administrative death.
Explain that.
Well, imagine a person arriving, right? They enter the institution, then they just vanish from all official records. If there's no paper trail, no entry in a register, no documented cause of death, no death certificate, it's not just that their passing goes uninvestigated.
It's like they never existed in the eyes of the law.
Exactly. And that void, where accountability should be, makes it shockingly easy for any alleged exploitation forced labor, maybe worse, to remain entirely hidden. There's no one left to trace their fate or demand justice.
And Shanphag didn't just rely on reports, he went there.
He did. He and a small, very courageous group of activists took direct action. They personally visited one of these alleged burial sites.
It must have taken incredible courage.
Absolutely. They needed answers, needed corroboration. And what they found, sources say, was stunning. Visceral.
What did they find?
Freshly dug pits. Unmistakable signs of skeletal remains. And in some profoundly disturbing cases, actual physical evidence suggesting multiple bodies buried together.
Multiple bodies in single pits.
Yes, which is not how dignified individual burials happen. It suggested a pattern.
So, direct first-hand observation.
Crucial. Undeniable initial corroboration that something deeply serious, something systematically hidden was happening. This physical evidence was absolutely critical. It shifted the narrative from whispers and tips to serious allegations demanding official investigation. #tag33, the victims and the pattern of exploitation.
So who were these people, allegedly buried without identity, without dignity, in these hidden graves?
The sources paint a stark picture. Profoundly saddening, frankly infuriating. It's about immense human vulnerability.
Tell us more.
The vast majority, identified through the efforts of activists and later hinted at in official findings, were orphans, individuals suffering from mental illness, and people abandoned by their families or society.
So people without strong support networks.
Exactly. No financial means, no legal advocates to speak for them.
Yeah.
Many had actually been brought to Dharmasthala by well-meaning devotees or volunteers.
Believing it was a place of care.
Believing the town's famous charitable institutions, the orphanages, destitute homes, hospitals would provide compassionate care, a safe haven, maybe even a new sport.
Which brings us back to that issue of institutional accountability, doesn't it? Especially with populations entirely dependent on the institution.
Absolutely. Our sources highlight that once these incredibly vulnerable individuals were inside these institutions, they allegedly had no voice. None whatsoever.
No legal guardians, no external oversight.
Effectively none. No one monitoring their well-being, no regular inspections, no one questioning their fate.
Which created this chilling scenario.
Exactly. If they disappeared, if they fell ill and died, there was essentially no one to ask questions, no one to demand answers, no way to trace them.
They became invisible lives.
And then invisible deaths. The systematic silence around their lives and deaths meant they were effectively erased, even posthumously, making alleged exploitation and unrecorded deaths terrifyingly easy to conceal.
And the activists alleged this vulnerability wasn't just tragic, it was leveraged.
That's the explicit allegation, that many victims were used as unpaid labor within the temple's vast operations.
Explain the scale of operation.
Well, think about Dharmasthala. Massive daily pilgrim traffic, upkeep of countless buildings, agricultural lands, various charitable projects. Well, it all requires immense manpower.
Right.
So the opportunity for free labor from a population with no rights, no oversight, no ability to complain, that would have been incredibly valuable.
And potentially easily hidden if there are no records.
Precisely. Now, our sources do note that while this specific claim of unpaid labor remains unproven by concrete evidence in the material we have, there were also these deeply disturbing suggestions about organ harvesting before burial.
Okay, that's a huge allegation. What do the sources say about evidence for that?
Crucially, the sources are explicit. No concrete evidence was found to directly support that specific claim of organ harvesting.
Right. Important to be clear on that.
Very. However, the critical point highlighted, and it resonates with profound unease, is that the systemic, pervasive lack of records, the complete absence of external oversight, it created the perfect environment for any potential abuse.
Regardless of the specific form.
Exactly. Whether it was forced labor, neglect, or something far more sinister, the sheer unaccountability meant it could have occurred and gone entirely undetected. No trace, no witness, no avenue for justice. Hashtag 5E. The temple's defense and legal noncompliance.
So, when these incredibly grave allegations first came out, how did the Dharmasthala administration respond? Must have been a crisis.
Well, their response, according to our sources, was clear, immediate, and categorical denial.
Just outright denial.
Complete denial of any wrongdoing. But this denial was strikingly at odds with fundamental legal requirements. Requirements designed to protect people, especially the vulnerable.
What was their main claim then?
Their primary claim, reiterated consistently, was that the deceased were simply abandoned individuals. No family, no next of kin, no one to claim them.
And they were just helping out.
They asserted they were fulfilling a charitable humanitarian duty, providing these unclaimed bodies with what they termed a dignified burial, since no one else would.
Okay, but how does that square with the law?
It doesn't, really. And that's the profound insight here, the direct conflict between that stated charitable intent and the actual legal obligations designed to protect individuals.
How did activists challenge that defense?
They immediately countered by asking these crucial fundamental questions, questions that highlight glaring legal noncompliance. Like, where are the death certificates? In any civilized society, that's basic. It's a legal acknowledgement of a life's end.
Right.
Where were the police inquests? In India, absolutely mandatory for unknown causes of death or death without next of kin or any suspicious circumstances. It's a cornerstone of due process.
A safeguard against foul play.
Exactly. And activists pressed.
Yeah.
Why were there no public records detailing how many people had actually died while under the temple's care?
Without those basic records.
There's no way to track people, no way to verify causes of death, no way to ensure proper procedures were followed. It creates a legal black hole.
And our sources emphasize this isn't just about, best practice, it's the law.
Absolutely. It's a clear, direct violation of established law in Karnataka. Every single death must be reported to local authorities. Non-negotiable.
A cornerstone of public health and safety.
And governance. And this reporting is especially critical, with specific, stringent procedures when the deceased has no known relatives. The law mandates investigations, thorough record-keeping precisely to ensure transparency, prevent foul play, protect rights.
And the core issue in Dharmasthala
Was that this fundamental legal requirement was allegedly just not being followed, period.
So the absence of documentation isn't just a bureaucratic slip-up.
Not at all. It represents a systemic failure that makes accountability impossible. It opens the door wide to potential abuse. And most tragically, it effectively erases these individuals from public record, denying them even the most basic acknowledgement. It's a gaping hole in legal and ethical responsibility.
Okay, so this wasn't just accusations versus denials. By 2015, the activists and lawyers started compiling hard evidence, right? Tangible stuff.
Yes. Their relentless, painstaking efforts began to yield undeniable results. And that's what led to an official body finally stepping in.
What kind of evidence are we talking about?
Well, by 2015, several activists and lawyers had meticulously documented at least 4 major alleged mass burial grounds.
And crucially, these were on Dharmasthala land.
Specifically on Dharmasthala land, yes, which directly undermined any claim by the administration that this was somehow outside their control or purview.
And they used RTI applications too, didn't they? Right to information.
They did, a really key strategic move. It's a powerful tool in India, letting citizens demand records from public authorities, forcing transparency.
And what did the RTIs reveal?
A critical, damning finding. Absolutely no official records existed for the vast majority of these deaths. This just starkly contradicted the legal requirements, providing irrefutable documentary proof of systemic noncompliance.
Wow. So not just visual evidence, but official documentation, proving the lack of documentation.
Exactly. But they didn't stop there. They used satellite images. What did those show? Chillingly, they revealed large areas of land visibly pockmarked with what clearly appeared to be numerous, freshly dug burial pits. It gave this macroscopic aerial view of the potential scale.
And they even filmed exhumations.
Yes, they went further into the really visceral. Activists filmed the actual exhumation of some graves, and reportedly, what they uncovered was profoundly disturbing. Multiple bodies interred in single pits.
Again, that detail. Multiple bodies, single pit.
Which, as we said, is completely inconsistent with dignified individual burials. It suggests haste, lack of care, a systematic disposal effort.
So with all this mounting evidence, what happened next?
It was formally presented to the Karnataka State Human Rights Commission, the KSHRC.
Okay, a significant state body. What's their role?
They're tasked specifically with protecting human rights. They have quasi-judicial powers, can investigate violations, and crucially, recommend or even order corrective action by the government. Their findings carry weight.
So they took this seriously.
Yes. Recognizing the gravity and the compelling evidence, in 2017, the KSHRC initiated a full-scale investigation.
And their findings?
Unequivocal and profoundly damaging, according to our sources. They basically provided official validation of the activists' claims.
What did they confirm specifically?
First, they confirmed that temple's charitable institutions lacked a proper register of people in their care, making tracking individuals virtually impossible once they entered.
Okay.
Second, they found bodies were undeniably being buried without adhering to legal procedures, confirmed the systemic noncompliance.
And the multiple bodies issue?
Crucially, yes. Their investigation corroborated the activists' evidence. Some graves were found to contain more than one body.
So the KSHRC officially confirmed human rights violations?
Exactly. They conclude these practices constituted a serious violation of human rights. And, significantly, they formally ordered the state government to take action.
That sounds like a monumental step.
It was. It gave official, legal weight to the outcry. But, and this is a crucial insight, official validation isn't always a guarantee of immediate justice. The sources also implicitly note the slow, frustrating progress that followed, even after this official validation.
Which raises questions about enforcement, right? Especially with powerful institutions.
Precisely. What does it really take for these official findings to translate into tangible action? And why does that action often lag or falter when the alleged perpetrators wield significant influence and have deep political connections? It's a critical question.
Beyond the official reports, the physical evidence, the deepest impact really comes from the human stories, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Our sources include these chilling testimonies, not from observers, but from people who worked within or even survived these institutions.
These voices make it real, agonizingly concrete.
They do. They provide the crucial human impact, the visceral reality behind the alleged systemic failures. Several former employees and volunteers from Dharmasthala's institutions bravely came forward.
Taking huge personal risks, I imagine.
Immense risks to their safety, livelihoods, reputations. One worker, for instance, gave this stark confession. He claimed deaths were often not reported.
And did he say why?
Yes, explicitly. It was specifically to avoid police scrutiny, which suggests a deliberate, systematic strategy to bypass investigations and maintain secrecy.
Wow. And another employee?
alleged that when worried families, because people were looking for loved ones who'd vanished into the system, came searching,
What happened?
they were routinely met with this cold, dismissive denial, told, "We don't know who you're talking about," effectively denying any knowledge or responsibility.
Creating this wall of silence for desperate families. No recourse, no hope.
Exactly. Just impenetrable.
And then there's the survivor story mentioned in the outline. A mentally ill woman from a destitute home.
Yes, her testimony is truly haunting. It paints this vivid, deeply disturbing picture of the daily reality inside, a reality miles away from the public image.
What does she describe?
She recounted this chilling, consistent pattern. People would suddenly disappear.
Just disappear.
Yes. And her observation carries this unbearable weight because it describes not an isolated incident, but a systemic, quiet horror.
What else did she say?
She continued with this chilling line. "We never saw their bodies. One day they were there, the next day they were gone."
God, that's awful.
It speaks directly to the pervasive, systemic nature of these disappearances, where vulnerable people could just vanish without a trace. No record, no explanation, no one to question their fate.
It just underscores their utter vulnerability. No one to advocate for them.
And their very existence could be so easily erased, both from life and from the record, with terrifying ease. #7, deeper motives, and the political angle.
So why? Why would these profoundly disturbing practices allegedly happen in a place held in such high spiritual regard, a place projecting benevolence?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Our sources point to several possible, deeply concerning motives behind the alleged burials and lack of records. And maybe even more troubling, this significant, almost impenetrable political dimension.
Which allowed it to persist for so long.
Exactly. It brings up that critical insight. When institutions get so tangled up with political power, accountability mechanisms can just seize up.
So what motives do the activists propose after years of digging?
They suggest 3 core reasons. First, and maybe most obvious, avoiding scrutiny.
Just not wanting investigations.
Right. If every death was reported properly, it would trigger official inquiries, especially for vulnerable people or unclear causes. That scrutiny could expose conditions, procedures, maybe abuses the administration wanted hidden to protect their image and autonomy.
Makes sense, cynically speaking. What's the second motive?
Maintaining power and control, particularly through exploitation. We touched on this, the allegation of using vulnerable individuals as unpaid labor.
Given the scale of Dharmasthala's operations,
Immense manpower needed. If these people were a free labor force, then keeping no records means no incentive to acknowledge their existence, their labor, or their death. It's a strategic way to maximize benefit while minimizing accountability or human cost.
okay. And the third?
Potential financial misuse. This is deeply troubling. Allegations that funds specifically allocated for the care of these vulnerable individuals might have been systematically misappropriated.
How would lack of records help there?
Yeah. Well, if large sums were supposedly spent on hundreds or thousands of people who were actually neglected, exploited, or just vanished, then a lack of transparency about their numbers, welfare, and fate would be essential to hide those financial irregularities.
Right. Now, back to those organ trafficking theories that circulated. What did the sources say again? Be precise.
Okay, very precisely. The sources state no concrete evidence was found to directly support that specific claim. But the sheer, pervasive lack of transparency meant it was impossible to rule out anything definitively. The fact that anything could potentially happen due to the utter lack of oversight and records is itself a profound indictment.
Even without proof of that specific horrifying allegation.
Exactly. It doesn't negate the confirmed human rights violations by the KSHRC or the deeply suspicious circumstances.
And all this alleged self-interest, control, avoidance of review, enabled by political protection.
That seems to be the chilling picture painted by the sources. They critically highlight the immense, pervasive political influence of the Hegde family in Karnataka.
Not just local clout.
Oh no. They're described as exceptionally powerful. Politicians from all parties reportedly court their support openly.
Why?
Because they hold sway over millions of devotees. A vast, critical voter base no politician can afford to alienate.
And the consequence of this political protection.
It's stark. Despite the horrifying allegations, despite the KSHRC's unequivocal official findings, the case got barely mainstream media coverage.
Just didn't gain traction nationally.
Largely ignored. And perhaps most damningly, no criminal charges were filed against anyone, despite the confirmed serious human rights violations.
So the sources conclude this silence wasn't accidental.
They call it systemic. suggesting a deliberate, politically motivated suppression of the issue due to the family's powerful connections across the political spectrum.
The stark insight being, when powerful institutions and political power intertwine,
Accountability mechanisms designed to protect ordinary citizens can become effectively paralyzed. Justice becomes elusive. Hashtag tag tag 88. The ongoing fight for justice and the invisible dead.
okay, so despite these massive hurdles, the political influence, the silence, the fight for justice for these invisible dead, as they're called, it continues.
It does. Driven by this handful of incredible determined activists, especially Ravindranath Shanbhag and his team, they've just refused, against all odds, to let this issue fade away or be swept under the rug.
Their persistence is remarkable.
It really is. And the Dharmasthala case, when you connect it to the bigger picture, it really transcends just one location, doesn't it?
How so?
It becomes this poignant, almost universal illustration of how societies treat their most vulnerable members. People without families, money, a voice. They become terrifyingly susceptible.
So how are Schonbach and his team keeping the fight going?
Various strategies. Organizing press conferences, strategically releasing information, trying to get media attention. Crucially, releasing those compelling videos of the alleged burial sites.
Getting visual evidence out there.
Directly to the public, who might otherwise be unaware or disbelieving. And their persistent demand, recognizing the limits of local inquiries.
Is for a CBI investigation, Central Bureau of Investigation.
Yes, India's premier investigative agency, seen as able to bypass local political pressures and conduct independent inquiries. Activists argue vehemently that local investigations have been totally insufficient. Stalled, yielded no charges, despite the KSHRC finding.
And their estimate of the scale, it's vast.
Truly unsettling. They argue thousands of people could have been buried secretly over decades.
Decades, not just recent incidents.
No, indicating a potential problem of vast historical scale. A systemic, long-standing, deeply ingrained practice. A chilling pattern stretching back years.
But despite their efforts, the calls for a CBI probe
Have largely fell on deaf ears, according to the sources, due to what's consistently described as little political will to pursue it rigorously.
reinforcing that political influence angle again. Obstruction of justice, essentially.
It certainly seems that way, making accountability elusive for the most vulnerable.
What's the core message from the activists?
It's stark in its simplicity, profound in its implications. Every life has value. Every death deserves dignity. It underscores the whole tragedy here.
Yeah. The heartbreaking conclusion drawn by the sources is that hundreds, maybe thousands, were allegedly denied both. The value of their lives, the dignity of their deaths.
And it highlights that terrifying susceptibility of the voiceless, how their existence can just be erased from public memory, official records.
It really raises that deeply uncomfortable question for all of us, doesn't it?
It does. What does it say about a society when such profound violations, even with documented official evidence from a Human Rights Commission, fail to prompt a full, transparent accounting?
And crucially, criminal charges against those allegedly responsible.
It forces us to confront where our collective priorities lie and how much we truly value the lives of the voiceless. Hashtag tag tag outro.
Wow. This deep dive into Dharmasthala's alleged mass burials, it really compels us to look beyond the surface, doesn't it? To question how power is exercised and to consider who truly bears the hidden cost of unchecked authority and institutional opacity. It's a stark, really sobering reminder that justice often depends on the persistent few. On those brave individuals like Ravindranath Shanbhag and his team who just refuse to let the invisible remain unseen.
Who keep fighting for the dignity of those who can't fight for themselves.
Exactly. Their unwavering commitment to uncovering the truth, despite just immense odds, it's a powerful testament to the enduring strength of human conscience, the pursuit of truth.
And the deeper implications here are fundamentally about the ethical responsibilities of powerful institutions, especially those claiming to serve the public good, embodying spiritual values.
That contrast between the revered public image and the alleged horrifying reality, it's a profound challenge to our assumptions about trust, authority, what it means to be truly benevolent.
It really is.
Yeah.
And perhaps we leave you, the listener, with this thought. In a world just inundated with information, often curated, sometimes suppressed, discerning truth from appearance, especially when the most vulnerable are involved.
It demands our unwavering critical attention.
It really does. It's on us not just to consume information passively, but to question it, to dig deeper, and where possible, to advocate for the voiceless, to ensure every life and every death is acknowledged.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep digging, keep questioning, and stay curious.